Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In today's video, we are talking with JunkFood Arcades about their fight sticks and about their company. Let's get started. So we have Travis here from JunkFood Arcades, the legendary arcade stick manufacturer. Thanks for being on the show, Travis.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So first question, how did you settle on the name JunkFood Arcades?
Let me tell you, we started building these as a favor to a local player, someone that we knew. And the first one we built was very much like this one. It was a little longer, it had some different aspects to it, but still very much similar to what you've seen on our site, right? This is our snack box. But the first one we did was a wooden one, and it had that kind of shape that looked a little bit like an ice cream sandwich. And so we landed on the name Junk Food based on that. And to me, Junk Food just kind of really sold the idea that it was something indulgent, right? Something that was fun, something that was, kind of yummy, that you could really enjoy getting and using. So to us, that kind of made some sense, and we had a little fun with that. And the snack box was just kind of a riff on that, since there was the mix box and the hit box and all the other boxes that were out there. The snack box seemed to kind of make a theme happen for us, so that's where that name came from. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll have a product called the snack machine. I don't know what we'll have next, but that's kind of where those names came from.
That's awesome. I quite like the names. It's very unique and it's very easy to identify too.
Yeah, I think one of the things I really like about it is that people get it on their own. We've had people come up to the booth and they're like, "Oh, I get it. It's an ice cream sandwich," and so they really kind of connect that idea of the junk food brand, into the product that we make, which is always kind of cool to see them make that connection, right there at the booth with us. So it's very cool.
So in terms of fight sticks, what are all the variations you actually sell?
Well, there's a lot. I'll say this: we have some that we sell a lot of, right? So obviously the standard one like this, which I'll call the buttons only layout. There are other people who make this and call it different things, but because there's a company name tied to the original version of this, I'm just going to call it a buttons only layout. But we have this, and we have keycap editions, and we have a few different variations of this. Ones where it's buttons, regular buttons on one side and then keycaps on the other. And then we have all kinds of variations on that, right? This yellow one that I showed you is actually, I don't know if you picked up on it, but it is actually a buttons only, but it's got 30 millimeters all the way across. We call this.
Yeah, I saw that. I was going to ask.
Yeah. This is a custom build for a guy. We offer it on the site as an option. But he wanted 30 millimeter buttons all the way across, and we call it the big hands. There's also big attack, which just means 30 millimeter buttons for these 8, and the standard stuff for the rest of these. So we have a few options out there like that. We also do the standard stick options like Vuelix, the Noir, Astro City P2, and we're developing. Probably next month we'll announce them. But we're developing a far version of those, right? So that you can have your joystick closer to the buttons or further away from the buttons.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And then, so we've got all of those variations out there. We've got a few additional things that we're working on as well. And in addition to that, like I mentioned, we will do custom stuff. So, for example, you come to me and you say, "Hey, look, I want a stick, but 24 millimeter buttons over here." We had somebody ask for that. Maybe you want to have half of a buttons only controller here, a joystick in the middle, and then some more buttons over here. Just pretty much anything that you want. We either have done it or will be glad to do it for you. It'll take a little longer. We may charge you like a $50 fee for coming up with a new design and having to go through all of the programming for that on CNC. But basically, if we have something that we've done that's close to it and we could just tweak it, that's not that hard for us to do. If it's an entirely new concept, we'll have to work through it and prototype it and build a few of them until we get it right. So yeah, that's basically what we have, there's actually a link on there's a couple of links on our Twitter profile. And if you don't follow us on Twitter, we are JunkFood Arcades, at JunkFood Arcades on Twitter. You can find us there. And then our Twitter profile is a couple of links, bit.ly links. And one of them goes to an actual set of layouts, SVG type layouts that you can use to kind of get an idea of all the different layouts that we have. We've also had people ask for the bottom to have plexi on it, so we'll have actually that layout there as well. So if you want to put images and stuff on the bottom of the stick, that will be possible as well. But basically, we've got, I think at last count, including the far joystick stuff that's about to come out, I think we're at 12 different layouts, plus, maybe about 20 or 30 others that we've done that are custom one-offs for people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did you get a lot
really
of
crazy stuff?
Do you get a lot of custom one-offs? Just
not considerably a lot. No, we get a little bit. Every month we'll have a couple, 3, 4, 5 maybe.
I would say that's a lot.
Yeah, that's fair. So I mean, like this last month we had somebody ask for the Kenji, right? Which is this one I keep showing you with all the buttons on it, right? Mm-hmm. But with these keycaps, which obviously I haven't inserted them yet, but these keycaps, they wanted these angled, but these straight.
Okay. Oh, so you even custom angle them for people.
Yes, yeah, and so that way I can just, I can kind of twist these around a little bit. This is two-sided milling that we're doing here, so actually mill it once like this on the CNC, and then I have to flip it and position it correctly, and then mill it this way again. But we do some really complex stuff. Depending on what they want to have done. Now, sometimes we'll have people ask for things that are different size, and this is our longer build, so I'll give you an idea of how long this is compared to maybe the white one. If I line them up right here, you kind of see it's another couple of inches or so.
Yeah.
Big size difference on the camera very well, but yeah, you can kind of see it's a couple of inches different. So we will do longer stuff as well, but typically anything that isn't the same size as the default for the snack box, we're going to do those in wood, because wood I can kind of get in any size. The snack box, I have them cut at the distributor to be exactly what we need. So that's it takes us a lot of buying power. We have to get an 18-wheeler worth of stuff, so it takes us a lot of buying power, to get all of that stuff in. And then we have to know for a fact that it's cut all exactly to the right dimensions to fit into a jig that's on the CNC machine, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So you offer a number of variations of fight sticks. What is the least expensive stick you offer, and what is the most expensive stick?
Well, I would say our budget offering really is the snack box. There's a reason for that, right? So we mentioned the fact that in addition to the plexi you can put on top, I don't paint these. I don't have to finish these in some way. You absolutely have to do that with wood. And with wood, that can take anywhere from, depending on what you're using to finish the wood, that can take anywhere from, say, 3 to 5 days all the way up to a full month for it to cure.
A month?
So, wow. Yeah. I mean, oil-based finishes, which are fantastic, can take a long, long time to fully cure and be ready to sand and have another coat applied, that kind of stuff. There are finishes that will take you several months to complete. There are finishes that we get done fairly quickly. We use some automotive grade finishing products as well on wood. But these are definitely the cheapest. The snack box is definitely in the budget space for us because that labor of finishing isn't included. It doesn't. The headache of messing up on that and having to start all over isn't really included in these. We can turn these out a little bit faster, a little bit more reliably, have the same result, every time because there's nothing different about the top of it. Wood is not like that. Wood is its own animal. Every piece of wood that you get, you have to treat in a unique way. I'm sure you've gone to a music store in your life and you've seen all those beautiful guitars that are out there. Those are all made out of solid wood, and they've gotten them down to a science on how they finish them and all that kind of stuff. We still figure that stuff out case by case. It depends on the wood that we want to offer. We may not offer just one type of wood. We may have curly maple, we may have ash, we may have mahogany, we may have all kinds, birch. We've just all kinds of things that we want to offer or come across in the right size. And we think, oh, this would really be a great thing with some brown leather, or we come up with our own ideas about what people might want. And we'll put those together in the wood space and put a lot more care into the wood ones. They're definitely the more expensive ones. So people who might not be familiar with us, our cheapest option on our site is a case. And that would just be, the empty case. It would be the sides, the floating plexi in the front and the back, the top and the bottom panel, the feet, the fasteners that pull it all together. If you have a joystick, the fasteners that mount the joystick in there. But it's empty. It's empty. It's empty. And so that empty case starts at $79, which, if you're used to looking at Amazon and buying from these giant manufacturers that spit out thousands and thousands and thousands of products out there, we're not really competing in that same space with them, right? For a custom fight stick maker, when you look at us and you look at the other people in our space, $79 is either a better deal than most or a solid good deal. On occasion, like Black Friday last year, we dropped it down to $50 for a case, which is unheard of. Yeah, it's completely unheard of in our space. And we had people saying, that's insane. Why are you doing that? That's insane. But we would move a whole bunch of product, And so it just depends. Once in a while we'll do sales of, $5 or $10 off, that kind of thing. But ultimately, the snack box is in that lower price range. Now, ideally for about $212 with us doing all of the installation, you can get a fully built out snack box with the best quality parts that you can get. And what that means is that we don't do cheap no-name buttons on the top, right? We're going to do Sanwas, and we're going to do, if you want Sumitsus or crowns or something like that, we can order those, but typically we'll stock Sanwa buttons to snap into these, and you're going to get that Sanwa feel. Screw-in buttons will also work. We carve out a space for all of those to work as well. But we're going to use those. We're going to use Brook boards inside. We'll use all of the good features that we can to make sure that when you're at a tournament, when you're really counting on this thing to perform, that it's going to work. And same thing for the joysticks, right? We're going to use real Sanwa joysticks. We're not going to cheap out. We're not going to go to Alibaba and buy the cheapest stuff that they have. We're going to use the real thing straight from Sanwa in Japan. And they ship stuff over to us in these big boxes, and we put them all into our products. So that's why it's a little more to buy into a custom fight stick maker like us. But you're also avoiding the hassle of buying something like a drone that doesn't use any of the real parts and wishing you had something bigger, wishing you had something more customizable that you could put artwork on, wishing that was tougher, wishing that you could put Sanwa buttons in there, which you can, it's just going to take you a while to do it. Wishing that you had a Brook board in there so that you could do wireless things or whatever else you'd like to do. So we kind of sidestep all the I wish I coulds and go straight to the thing that you actually really did want to have in the first place. So that's it. Now, as far as top end price goes, it can get kind of crazy. We have people, when you start talking about a curly maple fight stick, curly maple is used in the most expensive guitars. And so we're always fighting to find that product at all. So when we find it, that stick itself will be about a $300 stick. If you start adding LEDs, if you start adding, custom things onto it, whatever it is that you dream up, engravings into the wood, which we'll do, that stuff will add on to the price, of course, because the risk for us goes up, right? Something goes wrong. Maybe something chips off. Maybe that piece of the wood that we can't really see inside had, a worm go through there, and we can't use that or something like that. And we have to throw that whole thing away. So we'll have some risk built into the price of that stuff, but it's a fair price for the quality of the material that you're getting, what we do to it, and how we finish it.
Well, even $300 is not like, you can get sticks on the market now, mass produced sticks for over $300. So I would say
that's true.
That's a
like
pretty fair price.
The Victrix is like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that's actually really competitive. And then at the same time too, $79 or whatever you want for the snack box there. I would say that's also, you know, a pretty reasonable price, especially if you're putting in your own parts. You could even build a stick for under $100 if you just threw in like one of those zero delay PCBs and cheapo buttons. And if you just wanted the cheapest stick you could do with a decent case, you want to upgrade it later, I think that's a good idea.
You know, we sell it depends on the month, right? But sometimes about a third or half of what we sell is just a case. And, you know, it implies that there are people that and I'm sure you know this, there are people who collect these things, right?
Yes.
There are collectors of these things. But it implies that they have this stash, this magic stash of just unused buttons and wires and PCBs and stuff like that they can put inside and are ready to put inside of these cases. And it has always amazed me how DIY friendly this community is. And we want to do a series of, you know, how-to videos on our channel at some point, so that people can understand if they do buy, you know, their first case, how do they go about building the thing, you know, and understand that it's not that hard. But it just has always amazed me how many people already know how to do that, right? Already know how to get in there and tinker away, get the whole thing done, so that they can succeed at having a new fight stick, a new case, fully built out with parts they already owned.
Yeah, and if there's if they don't know how to do it, I've found one thing in this community as well, is people are willing to learn and curious and wanting to do it on their own. So I quite like that.
That not only that, but they're also willing to share. You know, you don't want to. There's a Reddit for Fightsticks.
Yes, a lot of cool stuff on there.
Yeah, and people love to share. You know how they built their own. They want to show their own off, of course, but they'll also talk you through. Hey, I've got this problem. I thought I wired it correctly, but something's wrong. They'll have you show pictures or tell you what happened or whatever. You know, there's a lot of answers out there.
That actually goes That goes right into my next question that I have. In terms of support, if someone's got an issue with it or some questions about a fight stick, what kind of support do you guys offer?
Yeah, it's a great question, right? So we do everything we can to help support the people in place. You know, so a lot of times we'll have people, you know, that whatever reason they'll buy a case and they'll get stuck. Or they'll buy a kit. We sell a kit, which is the case plus all the parts you need, just no labor to put it in. We'll sell that kit. They'll get that kit and they'll wire it up, but they wired it wrong, right? They did something incorrect. So we'll try, like you and I are doing right now. We'll try using some kind of a telecommunication tool, maybe Skype, maybe you know, we've got a Discord channel we want to stand up, but you know, basically find some way to communicate with them visually, have them maybe take pictures of what's wrong and walk them through in place, because 99% of the problems can be fixed either by you know, something that came loose during shipping or something that they plugged in wrong, and you know, there's enough material out there on the internet we can just quickly link them to either a video or a picture or diagram showing them exactly what to do. So that's what we try to do. Now on occasion I would say maybe we've had 2 or 3 people that either just couldn't figure it out or have had maybe some faulty board come through during shipping or something. And they have sent it back, and we've been able to work with them to get that replacement part. Now, I don't want to say that if you ever have a problem, you know, 2 years down the road that we'll send you a whole new stick. You know, I would go broke. I'm just a small guy in a garage. So, but what I will say is that we care very, very much about you showing up to your local and not only showing up with one of our sticks and being proud of it, but showing up and being happy with your performance on that stick. So we're going to work with you to make sure that that's the end result. Our you know, a lot of these big stick makers, they show up to the big events. They show up to the EVOs and the CEOs, and you know, they'll have their own giant booth with all the people in there and the big banners and the lights and the dancers or whatever they have. You know, we don't have any of that, right? It's just me, my son, my wife, my daughter. We're not going to be doing any of that. What we're going to do is we're going to show up. We're going to have our little booth where we talk to you, and we'll assemble stuff right there for you. So for us, it's way more important for us to kind of bring you into our way of thinking about this as a modular, assembly of parts than it is for us to just to sell you and tell you goodbye. We want you to be part of the family. We want you to be, kind of plugged into us on Twitter, plugged into the places that we're doing. We try to do a really good job of communication. Even when the communication isn't happy, even when there's a delay, we still want to be able to communicate that out to people and say, hey, yeah, we are running behind, and this is why, this is what's happening. And we don't want to ghost. We don't want to go dark on somebody like that. So there's not always great news to share, but as a PM, you have to be, you have to disseminate the right information. So that's a little bit of my PM background coming through in this space as well.
So next question, how did you decide on the design of the snack box? What were your main focuses?
Right. So the snack box, and actually the wooden ones that we make, and let me show you. Right. So this is our snack box. This is the design that you're talking about right here.
Yep.
And to the untrained eye, it's a pretty simple design, right? Pretty sleek design. There's really not a lot going on when on the outside of it, but if you open it up, you'll see that there is quite a bit that gets done on the inside in terms of carving and design to make all of this stuff fit together and fit together well. And I'll kind of bring that in so you can kind of see a little bit of what I'm talking about. We pulled together the basic concept of the design over about a month. That first stick that we made took us a long time to do because I was, all this guy wanted was a stick. Hey, I know you've got a CNC machine. Can you make me a stick? The answer was yes. But we knew that we didn't want to do a square one. I didn't want to do a square one. I didn't want to do one that was just rectangular, that looked like everybody else, that could get lost in the shuffle. It is not at all what I was interested in doing. So we decided to look at how can we incorporate the curved aesthetic that we do in our custom arcade, our full-size arcade machines. How can we look at bringing that curved aesthetic into the fight stick space, but still give it almost a square and rectangular feel as well, right? How can we do it with the materials that we've got on hand, which are basically in our case, planks of wood, or in this case, some custom materials that we use for this stuff. And so we started to try and reverse engineer the end result that we wanted and experiment with that. But basically, we wound up with the one rule of absolutely not a box, not a square box, right? Something that is completely different and apart from that. And at first, we were hearing from people that were giving us advice. It's good people, some people who really been in this space a long time saying, oh, these people, they aren't going to want that. They're going to want something that's very angular, very, very square. That's what they want. And we're like, you know what? We're going to stick with what we're doing and see if it goes. And over time, little by little, we kept hearing, oh, I really love the way that looks. I really love how different that is. And again, looks like an ice cream sandwich. They kind of got their mind around the idea that there was something a little more, a little different when people saw this. It looks different. And so that's really how we came to the design that we've got. And it's got some cool features, if you don't mind me getting into them.
Yeah, by all means.
Yeah, okay. So it's got some cool features that are really something I like a lot. And for the audience that doesn't know anything about us, we build these as a modular system. So you can actually take off pretty much any part and replace it with a different color, a different type of thing. And so that way you're not stuck to the whole case and then have to buy a different case at some point. You can swap out just the parts you don't want, or just the parts that maybe you've changed your mind. Hey, I really like this color instead. Or maybe this kind of control style can be done. So we have floating panels, right? So if I look at this, I've got a floating panel that just kind of slides in, right? And the reason that's important, if you've ever built a fight stick, is that this allows you to take this out and then really get at the guts. And the back one does the same thing. It allows you to really, mess with the wiring and adjust the wiring to your liking without having such a cramped space in there. You can actually open it up and have a lot more room to do things inside of the case. And that was very important for us as well. The sides are made out of stacked cabinet grade plywood. And the reason that's important is because they are extremely, extremely strong. And what I mean by that is we've actually taken one of these, and there's a video of it somewhere. We've taken one of these and we've run it over with an F-150, just as an unscientific test. And it's no problem, right? So it just right over the top of it. In addition to that, we've got plexi on the front and back that you can swap in and out, and the buttons snap into it very nicely. And you'll see there's a recessed area back here. If you think about, I don't know if you can see it very well on the camera. It's kind of recessed where the buttons go.
Yep.
And that recessed spot means that while you're playing in a tournament, right? While you're playing in a tournament, that you're not accidentally going to disqualify yourself by bumping those buttons, because they are way up in there, right? They're not too far, but they're far enough that you're not going to accidentally trigger a menu system and disqualify yourself on that match. That's very important to us as well. And then finally, on the top, and again, it looks pretty bland, but we take great care to make sure that all of the fasteners that we use are flush mounted, right? So that you can run your hand across this and you don't feel anything where that fastener is, right? So it's just really nice and flush mounted there. So that's kind of what goes on in our cases. We do a nice kind of either on our wooden sticks, we'll do some leather on the sides. Most of what we do these days is actually a vinyl wrap that kind of either looks like leather or maybe carbon fiber. Do some really cool stuff there. But yeah, so that's the kind of the basics of the design. I don't have any in this one, but I have some pins in my other one that I'm going to show you real quick. There are some pins back here that allow you, and I don't know if you can see them, this set of pins right here.
Yep.
So those pins allow you to do things like, in this case, put a carrying strap. So if you've ever gone to a tournament, and you know these aren't exclusive to tournament use, but if you've ever gone to a tournament, you know for a fact there's a lot of standing around waiting, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of standing around waiting to play, or even going shopping at the vendor booths, and you don't want to be holding that stick all the time. So this strap allows you to just carry it just like you would any other kind of bag. And it just snaps right on. It's out of the way. It's in the back. And the design itself, you know, those front panels that I was showing you, they allow us to do some really cool things with LEDs. We have a front panel LED option that allows us to engrave on that front panel, you know, whatever saying you'd like to have there, and light it on the edge and do a kind of a front panel LED that's really unique, and you can kind of see it in there, really unique. And, you know, it gives something that just nobody else has. And again, that's because we have this kind of top half, bottom half nested area thing that's going on right here. So does that help you understand how we got to not just the design, but all of the variations that we put into it?
Yeah. I quite like, I can see the LEDs lit up, and your room's not even dark. So it must be pretty bright in there.
It is. They're really cool. And, you know, we use color changing LEDs for that as well. So if you want blue or purple or whatever, there's a little remote that you can use to change it for that, and even have it cycle through all the colors if you're a psychedelic kind of person.
I quite like the strap idea, because I've been at tournaments before, and carrying the fight stick, sometimes you just shove it in a backpack, and it's a pain because you zip up the backpack, have to put the fight stick in and pull it all out, where if it's just on a strap, that makes a lot more sense. And
most backpacks you can't really fit a fight stick into. You know,
no, not very well.
Don't fit. Yeah, they don't fit very well at all. So
and pardon me asking this, but how did you come up with the idea of running it over with an F-150?
We went to KIT, and it was the first time that we showed anybody our sticks. It was KIT a couple years ago, and we were at the booth. Me and my son were at the booth, and I said, I'll bet you we could run one of these over with the F-150 that's out there. And he said, no, you couldn't. And I said, I'll bet we can. He said, well, let's not do it right now, because we've only got so many to sell. I was like, okay, well, one day we're going to do that. And so I think it was in the summer last year or something like that. We decided, okay, let's put it out there. Let's run it over. It either works or it doesn't. We'll figure that out. But we did, and it was fine. We actually had a guy, we bought it. We told him, hey, this is the one we ran over. He's like, I want to buy that one. So he bought that one. So, yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
really cool. The first thing
Yeah.
that popped into my head there was that scene in Napoleon Dynamite where Kip runs over the Tupperware and the Tupperware just explodes right there on the.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's much better conclusion you had. That's really cool.
We had a better conclusion than that.
Right now, what is the most popular layout of Fight Stick you're selling?
Oh, I wow. It used to be the all buttons layout. There was a time where people were grabbing this from us. Um, I think before the price drop of the hitbox itself, uh, right around the very first time they mentioned the walnut one that they made. Do you remember the walnut ones that they
Yeah,
had?
yeah.
So right around that time, we had been doing walnut ones ourselves as well as other wood ones. So right around the time they mentioned that, these kind of shot off the shelves, right, for us. Say shelves. We build them to order, but they shot off the CNC machine. That has changed. We are now selling probably an equal amount of the WASDs that we
Really?
where it's
Wow.
where it's all button, regular SANWA buttons on the right hand side, and then four slanted keys, basically what the mix box has.
Yeah.
That layout for us is pretty much flying out the door right now, and we have a custom PCB that we build just for that layout that has a little secret to it that I'll share a little later. But it's pretty cool, and it allows us to do it allows us to hot swap the switches that we use. Now we start off with cherry silver switches, which everybody loves.
Yep.
But if we sell you as just a case, you won't get any switches or keycaps. You just get the PCB itself mounted in there. That is great because it's hot swappable. That means you can go to any resource that you have, and you can pick your favorite mechanical key buttons and your whatever color of the keycaps that you want to put on there, and you just pop them in. You pop four of them in, try them out. Maybe you like the cherry browns or the cherry reds or whatever it is that you like better. You can put those in there, play on them, change your mind, put four different ones in there. That kind of thing. And so that I kind of like them. I like the way I really love, and you can't really get it across on a video like this, but I really love the responsiveness and the way the playing on that actually feels. There's something about marrying the thickness and the rigidity of this material with a key switch and having it be as responsive, having it be very responsive. You kind of hear it's just really happy to be, it just really loves it. It's such a great marriage of two different things together. And they're really buried up in there too. I mean, it is fully encasing that switch up until where the pins have to contact the PCB. It is a solid connection. So it's one of the things that maybe people are responding to, maybe they're hearing about it, whatever. But yeah, we're selling a ton of those.
I never would have guessed, not in a million years, that would
Yeah.
be the most popular. Wow.
Yeah, right now
something.
it is. I think people pick, they pick this new layout, right? Everybody they kind of move between layouts of, will that make me better? Which in reality, none of them make you better. What your focus and your how well it connects with you might make the difference, but there's no magic button, of course, on any of these.
All right. So the next question I have for you: what materials are your fight sticks made out of?
Right. So we do hardwoods, and the wooden sticks that we make. I really don't call them snack boxes or anything like that. I don't really even have a name for them. But the wooden sticks that we make, they are made from common woods down here in Atlanta, locally sourced woods, and we'll buy them from lumber yards, and we'll look for. And most people won't mind, how any wooden stick is put together. But for us, we look for a slab of wood that is at least 10 inches wide and stable. So that means that we're going to be looking for something that's pretty rare to begin with. And then we'll start to look at walnut. We'll start to look at maple. And if we get maple, we'll probably stain it something really nice. We have a lot of different colors that we do for curly maple that are out there. I'm sure you've seen those. But we've also got a different material that we use on our snack boxes, and that is HDPE. That's what this is made from. And HDPE is a half-inch thick, 3/4 inch thick plastic that you can get. It's kind of similar to, milk jugs are made out of it.
Okay.
All kinds of other things are made out of HDPE. It's one of the most common plastics on the planet. Maybe the number one used plastic on the planet. And it's great because you can add stuff to it. As a chemist, you could add stuff to it to give it color. You can add stuff to give it different properties like strength or flexibility. And we use ones with different properties that are basically all on the I'm tough and strong, but I've also got a little bit of texture to me. And what's important for us is, we don't really have that on the wood sticks, but the texture that you get on these HDPE sticks that we make, these snack boxes, that texture is both for those who like to move their hand around. It's perfect, right? If you want to move your hand around while you're playing, it allows for that. If you want your hand to stay put, the texture helps you keep your hand stuck in one place as well. If you have the sweaty hands, it kind of wicks that stuff away, but it doesn't, because the nature of the material, it doesn't stain it. It just helps you basically to move those problems out of your life while you're playing on these things. So that is the material that we have, and we kind of came across this just by luck when we were searching for some way to augment, of course, what we do with the wood sticks that I showed you earlier. These are, wood sticks. So we were looking for, everybody makes, when they start making their own fight sticks, and you'll see this from companies and individuals as well, they'll either gravitate towards wood or they'll gravitate towards using plexiglass with some kind of laser printer, laser cutter. We, with our CNC capabilities, knew that we wanted to look at something that we could have a lot more depth and a lot more structure. So this is actually a half-inch thick that we use on the top and another half-inch on the bottom. So there's a full inch of material just in HDPE, not to mention what we make the sides out of. That's how it's so strong. And it's how it's, these are forever sticks. These aren't going to break and have to be replaced or, that kind of thing. So it's, to me, a lot better than just looking at an 1/8 inch thick piece of plexiglass. Have you ever seen somebody, you ever seen somebody rage quit and, slam their hands down on their fight stick and it shatters, right? So ours don't, right? I mean, you can, it's not going to shatter. It's just not going to happen. I don't know if you can see, I'm going to try and get this close to the camera. On these buttons, you'll see there's kind of it's kind of an X almost in the space of the button, right? These little kind of tab areas. 2 of them are shallower than the other 2. And the reason that is because one of them is a flush mount, so I don't have any plexi on top, and I want the button to sit completely flush and snug against the natural top. And then the other one's a little further up. And so in that space, I'm able to put the plexi on top and then pop the button on, and the button holds the plexi in place by snapping into that second set of notches there.
Okay, that's clever.
Yeah. So we had to source some very thin cast acrylic for that, and so that cast acrylic, we take it. We do cut the cast acrylic on the CNC machine, which is different from a laser cutter approach. So we go through some different stuff to hold it down. And it's a little more difficult to hold it down with the cutting forces that CNC can generate. But we do that. We do that cutting. But then we also bevel, and I don't know if you saw this here, but we take great care, again, to bevel not just the HDPE itself, but also the plexi, so that even when you have a plexiglass top on, you still have that completely smooth surface. I don't want a screw top right, sitting up and bumping into my hand when I'm playing. I want something smooth there. So that's why we go through all that extra trouble. There's a lot of hand work in addition to the machine work that goes into each one of these things.
So the next question I have, I saw you tweet about it, and it really piqued my interest. And how on earth did you figure out these sticks were dishwasher safe?
Well, that's pretty easy. They are actually the same materials that are used for industrial grade cutting boards. So if you were to go into a Chick-fil-A kitchen, you might see, here, hang on, I'll show you. You might see a red, such as this particular keycap edition that we're working on right here. This would be the countertop in there. And these are used industrially for countertops. Now, not all of these have that same purpose, but the manufacturer sells them for that purpose, in addition to ones that are used for playground use. I'm sure you've seen playgrounds with bright, colorful, big panels, as well as things that are used on yachts, which is what the white one is used for.
All right, so the next question I have, what is your most memorable fight stick you've made for someone?
Well, I mean, aside from the first one, obviously, and I'll say, to be honest with you, we pretty much remember every one that goes out the door. You can call me and I might ask what your order number was, but you talk to us enough, I'll remember that custom thing that you wanted. So we definitely pay close attention to everything that everybody wants and build them one at a time for people. But I would say one of my favorite ones, maybe currently my favorite one, is the Iron Man themed stick that we did. And we knew we didn't want to do anything copyright infringing. We wanted to kind of give the feel of what an Iron Man stick would be, without actually doing anything that might cause us to get a please don't do that kind of email. But that one to me was one of the best, and that was built just we were given free reign by this guy who was on an aircraft carrier. He's stationed on an aircraft carrier, he's in the Navy, and he had heard about us, and he was going to be out to sea for months and months. And he wanted us to build him a stick. And he said, look, I don't really know what I want. I know I want something special. And I know that you guys can do it. And just take your time, do something really cool for me. I said, okay, what are some of the things that you like? He said, well, I'm a big Iron Man fan. I love Iron Man. So if you can throw any of that kind of stuff, even a little bit of that in there, that'd be great. And so I had always wanted to do an arc reactor kind of vibe in a fight stick. It was one of those things I wanted to do. And so we took a buttons only concept like this. I'm sure you could find the actual video that we posted of his actual stick, but we separated out the 4 buttons on the left and the attack buttons. We put some space in between them to give us enough room to put an arc reactor right here in the center. And then we did some angular carving. We filled in, we hand painted the inside of that V carve that we did for the angles with a bright metal flake silver. And then we used a bright gold, an actual gold paint, to cover up certain areas, and a nice, really rich red paint to cover up the others. And then we used, this first time using this, we used an automotive clear coat to cover the whole thing. And it just came out fantastic. And my wife does, she calls herself the art department. She is the art department. We have this textured alligator skin style kind of leather wrap that we can put on the sides here. And she took that and she was able to paint it gold and really just sell it as just a fantastic kind of fantasy gold kind of shimmery thing on the sides as well. It almost looked like it was a woven, by the time she was done, it didn't look like alligator skin anymore. It just kind of looked like a woven gold, stuff over there, whatever. And then we lit up the LEDs, and we engraved the front panel and put the whole kind of Stark Industries swoop, right above the player's name. And it just came out great. I mean, it came out fantastic. And it was so happy that, after this guy who's serving our country, right? After he's been at sea doing his job, doing the best he can, comes back, gets that, and everybody on the ship is just blown away by what he got. And he's super proud. He's, he follows us on, I think Instagram is where he follows us, but he'll always chime in whenever somebody mentions it or whatever. He's super proud of it. So we're very proud of that build as well. And there's been tons, though. There's been absolute just tons and tons I could go on and on about. Every one of them, they live here for a long time. They're part of the house for a very long time. And so we feel very special, very connected to all the ones that we build.
So now we're getting close to the end of this. I want to know, what is next for JunkFood Arcades? What are you working on? What's upcoming?
We have, we have a lot of cool plans, some of which I can talk about, some of which I can't. But I would say we have at least 3 things that have never been seen before in the fighting game space that are coming up, and those I'm not going to really talk about. But they're cool. They're going to take us a little bit to get them done, but they're cool. So stick around and keep watching us. We also have some other, some minor adjustments that we're making to the existing lineup, right? We talked about the far joystick, where you can pick whether your joystick is close to the buttons or further away. And those are based on this. All of our layouts are based on the Slag Coin. I don't know if anybody knows that site, but Slag Coin layouts that are out there on the internet. There are some positional references for where the joysticks could be, either close or far away. We use those references. In addition to that, we've got some changes in the keycap space that we want to do. There are currently, this is the Kenji layout. That's the only Kenji layout that we have. But we will begin to offer an 8-button option here instead of 3 on the top and 5 on the bottom. We'll offer an 8-button layout. We'll also offer a kind of a Vuelix-ish 8-button layout, so that the first 2 are kind of staggered a little bit, and then you got 6 in a row.
Oh, interesting.
So we've got those kind of things built in as well. That's kind of coming. For the regular, just the regular 4 keycaps and then regular sandwall buttons on the side. This is, and a lot of people already have this in their case. This is our custom PCB for the keycaps, and you'll notice that there's room for more than 4 keys on here, right? Mm-hmm. Which is a little weird. So the reason it's designed like this is that you can flip it, and it's symmetrical, so that we can do the same layout, but with an offset, right? You see this one offset hole here. So if you were to look on the keyboard of your PC, there's actually a set of arrow keys where one key is completely perpendicular to the down arrow key, right? The up key versus the down arrow key, they're completely in line. But if you look on your keyboard, and you can do this on your phone if you have it handy, if you look on your keyboard, there's an actual set of WASD keys that a lot of people have been playing on for forever, right? I mean, back in the day, you played Doom on that or whatever, those keys are very, very popular in the keyboard crowd. And we want to accommodate that. This PCB allows us to do exactly that. We have an offset that matches up exactly with where the W would sit in a WASD format, so that we can, instead of doing just a straight up and down, we can actually have it in that angled way as well, but have it so that you have the WASD format as well as the arrow key format. And it's a little inside baseball kind of discussion, but there's a lot of people that will matter to. There's a lot of people who are very used to that and come from a keyboard and PC gaming background that are very used to that WASD feel. And so we want to give them that. So that's one thing. In addition to that, we've also got the Snack Box Mini that we've been talking about. It will be smaller than a drone. It will, just like everything else, be sold as a case as well as a kit and a full build. We may have difficulty getting parts for a little while for all the extra parts from Japan or whatever. We'll worry about that as it happens, and I'll keep everybody in the loop on Twitter. But that we hope to launch pretty soon. That will allow you to have an ultra portable, very, very rugged stick. And it has all the same properties as a snack box, right? I mean, it's going to have that top that's easy to take care of. You want to put artwork on it, we'll have plexi artwork options for it. It's easy to swap parts. It's modular, so you can have 3 or 4 different tops, and you can try out the keycaps, you can try out the stick, you can try out the buttons only concept without having to swap out any of the other parts. So it kind of gives you the whole thing. It'll also have the straps, just like the big one does. And it's intended to be that next step for us in terms of getting smaller. Now we actually want to go to a snack box micro. I don't know what we'll name that one, but snack box micro kind of thing at some point, which will be even smaller than that. We've got some cool plans for that I'll announce later, but just be aware that that's, kind of on the horizon. And that's inside of the product space. I think what we've got going on right now, that's kind of where we are for the most part. I had with what's going on right now, I'm probably not going to introduce it yet, but I will say that we have a completely like a companion product to the snack box that we want to introduce that would contain a monitor, and it would also contain your favorite gaming system, maybe it's PlayStation or GameCube or Sega, whatever it is that your snack box can hook up to, and they'll kind of marry up, at least in terms of style, if not physically, and allow you to take that portable setup to your favorite local and use that as a single-handled setup that you can drag back and forth in your Honda Civic. That's the basic idea, is to get something ultra portable, but with still the right performance at the monitor level that people can connect to and play their favorite console. It's just take it and go. Take it to, put it in the car and drive to CEO. Put it in the car and drive to Evo. Do whatever you got to do, but you've got it. And you can put it up in your hotel room. That's the kind of the next thing that we'll actually announce, and that's probably a few months away from us. Where we are. That's where we want to get to next. I think that's a very fun and very cool product that people will be very excited about once we all start going back to all these things, all these fun things that we get together and socialize and game in. So that's in the product space. And aside from the product space, we've got a lot going. Aside from the product space, we've also got some things that are not in the product space that we are doing. And one of those is we wanted this year to really reach out to the local space. We've always tried to really, really, really support the locals. Now, the big events, they are already taken care of. But the locals, they need help. And we've tried to figure that out several different ways. We've tried to make contacts and inroads there several different ways. We've learned a lot, and we've, tried to figure that out so that we can come to the right space. And so right now what we're doing is we're looking at streamers, especially those who've already got our products and can show them off on stream. If you have an interest in this program, please hit me up. But we're offering a gift card that you can give away to your streamers, especially, with what's going on. There's a lot of people that would have gone to locals and shown our stuff off, but we still want people to see it. So this allows people to tune in, get something that we can offer up pretty quickly without having to go through and actually machine it, but still have some value to it. Get that in the hands of the people that are streaming and sharing our products in real time with the people that are there. We've really, I'm sure you've seen us reach out to Ketchup and Mustard. I'm sure you've seen us reach out to Ninja Killer and all these other people trying to really get the name out there and say, hey, look, these are the things that we do. This is what we're proud to do. And we'll entice people a little bit just to try us out if they're, not sure that they want to try out a custom builder. But we feel like making those inroads for us is a big deal, because the real place that people learn about not just fighting games, but about what they like to play on is at a local, right? Or from a streamer who can show them the differences between the 3 or 4 sticks that they have. They need somebody that's gone there already and done that and bought that thing already to show them what can be done. And that's really where we'd like to see 2020 kind of focused on for us is, as those gatherings are kind of winding down some, where can we also look at maybe having an impact? And streaming seems to be the next place for us to do that. So we're looking at people that have partnered with us, have worked with us, have bought sticks from us, things that they are capable of showing off to other people, that allows us to get that enticement out there a little bit. We're probably not going to, if you don't have a stick for us to show off, we're probably not going to look at this phase unless you've got a larger audience, or unless you've got, some ties into other things that we're working on, such as additional products that we're working on and things like that. We have some people helping us beta test some stuff. But we want to make sure that people like yourself, people who are interviewing us, people who are showing off sticks, that they are equipped to add people and give them an enticement to spend a little bit of that tax money that they get back and buy a case. Buy a case, buy your first case and try it out. If you've never built one before, it's not impossible. People do it. You can find help, and you'll have something that you can spend some of this free time on and really learn something new that you maybe have never done before, never thought you could do. It's pretty easy.
And that kind of goes right into my next question. If someone is to buy their first fight stick, what recommendations or what advice would you have for them?
Right. Well, a lot of people come to Fightsticks through a friend. They will go through looking at the friend's fight stick. Oh, I like playing on this. What else is out there? That kind of thing. Maybe it's not exactly what they like, but they like the idea of those controls. And they see their friend executing, correctly, or, doing something that they have difficulty hitting all the buttons on a controller, maybe. And it depends, of course, on the game that they're playing and how it's laid out, and what their preferences are and how used to things they are. But if you want to experiment, if you want to find out what is out there, it might be something that you really take to. And I would say that what you should do is you should, we're a great choice. We're not the only choice. I, of course, want you to look around and make sure you buy the right thing. But we're a great choice, because what you can do is you can actually say, I want to keep all the parts of my stick except for the top, and I just want to buy a bunch of new tops from JunkFood Arcades and swap them out. Maybe I don't like the Vuelix layout. Maybe I want to try buttons only layout. Maybe I want to try a keycap layout. I think we've got something to say to those new fight stick makers, or new fight stick owners, which is welcome. You're going to have to spend some time learning, but if you get to the point where you decide that this layout isn't for you, there's dozens of layouts. There's dozens of control schemes that allow you to have a better connection with the game. These pretty popular, right? Maybe the buttons don't fit your fingers. Maybe the stick that you have, you want to use a Hori stick instead of a Sanwa. Maybe you like something stiffer or looser on the action of how fast that fight stick comes back to middle. It just depends on what you're after, what you're really shooting for, as far as what you're trying to experiment with. And we allow you to do that pretty much on the cheap. You don't have to swap in and out all these different sticks. You can just swap in and out the tops until you land on what's exactly right for you.
It's one of the coolest features, I think, about your fight sticks is, people spend a lot of money getting the fight sticks the way they want. They're sometimes a significant investment. And if there's one piece of your fight stick you just grow tired of, I love that option of just being able to swap that out and being like, you know what, I want, instead of an entirely new fight stick, I just need a new top and just get a new top.
And we've had a lot of people, and this I never did it, as a set of pictures to sell people on the idea, but we've had a ton of people buy black bottoms, black sides, black acrylic, and then a colored top. And what they would do is the black kind of fades away and the color takes over. Maybe it's a purple top, right? Maybe it's white. And what that allows them to do is say, well, maybe I don't really like the red. Maybe I want to have a green or a blue or a light blue or purple or white or yellow, whatever it is. And it allows them to kind of move between characters almost, their team they play, maybe Dragon Ball or, whatever it is that they connect to. and have new artwork made that matches up to that top, that color on the top. So, or new buttons that go along with it. So it allows them not just to change control schemes, but you can actually, if you're smart about it, you can actually change the whole feel and the color tone of the thing that you bought, just with one swap.
Well, that about does it for this interview. I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to talk about your fight sticks, to talk about a heck of a lot of great information here. And I really, really appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to say to any of the viewers out there?
I just want to say that during the time that's going on, please think about the custom fight stick makers that are out there. We've certainly had, all of us, I'm sure, have big plans for 2020. We'd love to see those come to fruition, for us to put out new products. And not just me, for all these people that are like me to put out new products, they need to have people buying the products that are out there today. So please, when you're considering what to buy, don't just ignore the small makers. We make up a large portion of what people love about the fight sticks that they get. And we go further than a lot of those, big box companies that you can buy at, Best Buy or wherever it is that you go. We'll go further than they will in quality. We'll go further in terms of durability. We'll go further in terms of aesthetics or capabilities or, looks and colors and all of that. So just look, even if you don't buy from us, look at those smaller fight stick makers this year. Help them to be what you'd like them to become. We're very much a part of that story of the FGC. And we want to keep being that story.
Now that's it for my interview with JunkFood Arcades. However, in this video, I also promised a giveaway. So for this giveaway, we will be giving away 3 $10 gift cards to junkfoodarcades.com. And to enter is really simple. Head over to junkfoodarcades.com, take a look at their snack box, figure out which color of snack box that they offer that you like the best. Then in the comments below on this video, let me know what color of snack box is your favorite. In a couple weeks' time, I will be choosing 3 different winners at random, but that's literally it. Head to junkfoodarcade.com, find out what color of snack box you like the best, then let me know in the comments below. Anyways, that's all I've got for today, so if you liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't like the video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Thank you everyone, take care.